Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Yes, we are starting off things again today in the piglin bartering farm. There is good reasons for that. Don't worry, I know you've seen enough of this, but we've got some things to show you that might, interest you in this place again. So bear with me. So I wanted to run through the objective of today. And the objective today is obviously we're going to do a little recap of all the busy work that I've been doing since the last time we spoke. And I'm also going to show you what we're actually going to take on a project together today. So the plan on the project today is to make a Witherkiller. Now, for those who aren't aware, I think the best thing for you to do would probably be to do a little YouTube search. But essentially, a Witherkiller is a device where you cram a bunch of withers all in one spot. And by doing that, you essentially kill them all off. And you can get a bunch of wither skeleton skulls, or sorry, a bunch of beacons in a very short space of time. And when I say beacons, I mean nether stars, which obviously are made into beacons. So you get the point. Anyway, so the idea is we're going to build up one of those. We'll get into a little bit more detail about the Witherkiller once we're building it and I show you the site that I've been working on for some time. But first of all, let's go have a little look downstairs and see some of the changes we've made. Now, it's been a busy few days. Initially, I'm sure things might look similar, but there's definitely some massive changes that we've made around here. So the first things first is the sorting system. Now, I decided that having all of the items as shulker loaders didn't make too much sense. There's a multiple amount of reasons for that. Reason number one, it made it difficult to have a refueling system for all of the shulker boxes. So if a system ran out of shulker boxes or one of the slices ran out of shulker boxes, it was quite difficult to tell which ones ran out, and it was quite difficult to refill them, and it wasn't ultimately really worth it. The second thing is some things like obsidian and crying obsidian, you don't get too much of it. So if you don't fill up an entire shulker box, you can't access it even just to get a few pieces out. So it kind of really delays you on your use. Whereas stuff like obsidian now is easily for me just to go and grab it from the chests here. So I ended up sticking for shulker loaders, gravel, blackstone, soul sand, quartz, and nether brick, I think they call it. The reason why I went for these are because these are essentially items that I want a unlimited amount of. So in the easiest way to put it, there is no bottom end of me wanting any of these. There might eventually be for blackstone because, well, this is the blackstone deposits in here, but we also have, oh, that's just the gravel. We also have all of these shulker boxes full of blackstone. So maybe one day we'll end up shutting off the blackstone segment too. But for now, we've got loads of shulker boxes in there. It's not a huge problem. So blackstone, gravel, soul sand. You don't get a huge amount of it, but enough that I thought, you know what, I will keep these. They'll come in handy for like roads in the base. And also I need a bunch of this for the Witherkiller. So actually, we'll come back to this later on. So we're going to need probably all of these for the Witherkiller. The next thing we've got is quartz. Quartz I literally can't have enough of. You could give me a double chest full of shulker boxes of quartz and it still wouldn't be enough. I could either end up using them for observers or for blocks. There's a million uses for them. So you can't give me enough of those, so that's all good. And then nether brick, obviously this, even when you get a bunch of it, you kind of have to like craft it down into blocks. And the blocks are, like this is probably like one row of nether brick. So this isn't even that much nether brick, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's the ones that I ended up going for in shulker loaders. And then things like string and then leather and then obsidian, crying obsidian. Like these two I'll probably need a limited amount of. These are good for me to fill up, so it's all good. But yeah, I don't need that much string. I don't need that much leather. Plus, I also have a second source of leather, so it's not all that useful. Finally, one of the changes we made was to change the excess storage from this side over to this side. Now we've actually even added 2 more rows, and I think 1 more in height. I think maybe not. Either way, we've got a whole bunch more of the excess storage. We've also rearranged this, so I think actually this place is looking a lot better. Earlier on, the room before was quite cramped, and I spent so much time on the room and it looked didn't look that great. So I thought, you know what, let's give it a little revamp. It shouldn't take too long. It took me like 4 or 5 hours to do this whole room, rerouting all the hoppers and all that kind of stuff. But hey, ultimately it was quite worth it. But the main reason that I even changed this room out in the first place was for the shulker boxes. So what I've done is I have added a return section for shulker boxes. So shulker boxes will be evenly distributed along all of these items that actually take shulker boxes. When I say evenly distributed, I don't really mean evenly distributed, because ultimately this side of things gets more shulker boxes than this side of things, and that's actually a little bit problematic. I probably should have gone in this direction, kind of that way, but instead I've gone this way. But it's no big deal. I actually have an indicator for when shulker boxes start to run low. So when shulker boxes run low, well, I'll show you actually. It's a cool little detection system just to make sure you're paying attention, because a lot of the times I'll have like a lack of shulker boxes, a light will go on, and generally sometimes it's just not enough for me to pay attention to it. So what I've done is I've added a little bit of logic. Oh, I need to put that one back. So if I break this, I'll come back outside, put that back there. Now the block actually pops out and turns on at the same time. So this should be a lot more obvious for me to pay attention to. And then obviously once the shulker boxes are filled back up again, that will also turn off. We'll just go ahead and put that redstone back. Perfect. So we just gone ahead and blocked that up now. So yeah, this room is looking really good. Things look way more organized. Things actually make more sense now, especially with the what's shulker box loading and what's not. I think this room is looking way better than it did before, but we're not totally done with this room. You see, when I was doing my tunnel boring episode, I used quite a lot of the potions, the fire resistant ones. I ended up going just in like one session of like 40 minutes. I used an entire shulker box of the splash potions. So I decided, why not make a little room where I can make these the best potions they can be. You see, you get splash variants and then you get non-splash variants. And then even the splash variants you get, they're the 3-minute potions instead of the 8-minute ones. So around the back over here, next to our lovely shulker loading system, I've gone ahead and made a little brewing room. Now, it's not really a brewery room. It's more of a potion upgrade room because you're not really using an input of like many potion ingredients. So in this case, we're changing the existing splash potions from 3 minutes to 8 minutes. And then on this side, we're changing the non-splash potions into splash potions. And then we're also taking those over here and then making them 8-minute splash potions. So as a result, by doing all of that, I have gotten... that's a good amount, right? What is that? 12 shulker boxes of fire resistance potions, all 8 minutes, and all of them splash. So this was definitely a great little setup I did in here. This actually ended up taking a couple hours in itself. And yeah, so I've just got some backup stuff in here. And actually, that reminds me, I did a little AFK session for some blaze rods. I'll put that on screen over here. And we ended up getting quite a lot of blaze rods out of it. They actually kind of put a thought in mind. You see, the blaze farm that I used ended up giving me about 2.5 or 3 shulker boxes of blaze rods in an 8-hour AFK session. And I just thought, that's not that great, right? Considering I spent 8 hours of my computer on slicing away. I thought, you know what, let's take on a little project soon. So as you can probably expect, we're going to be working on a double blaze spawner at some point. Not 100% sure when I totally want to do that, but I'm thinking maybe in the next few episodes we'll get started on something like that. But that's kind of the tour of the room. Oh wait, actually, whilst we're here, I've also added an access door, so I can come back and check out all the redstone. I cleaned things up a little bit around here as well. It was such a mess before. You could tell I was kind of in a rush towards the end of the other build, because I really put no love into the back and really any of the logic around the build. So yeah, this place definitely needed a little touch up, and I'm really glad that I did that. And now it's actually like it's a pleasure to come down here. I can get all the things that I need. Everything looks kind of cool. Oh, also I added in, what do you call these again? Respawn anchors? Yeah, the respawn anchor. I added a bunch of these underneath here. I really love that they give off the particles from underneath. It really adds kind of like an effect to it, especially because now these will be like quote unquote considered like special items, so it kind of has that little highlight on there. So yeah, I just think this whole room really came together after that touch up, and I think things are looking really good. But to get to the point of this episode, today we are planning on building the Witherkiller. Now let's go ahead and take a little trip to creative mode, and I'm going to show you the design for my Witherkiller. So here we are in our little creative test world. and I thought it would be nice to bring you guys in on this little Witherkiller. So you may have seen this design if you're kind of like a part of the techno community. This is a design by, I believe, by Fallen Breath. At least he's the first person I saw to make a video about this exact one. So this is pretty much exactly the same as his original version, and I'll come over here and kind of show you how that works. Now, his original version was a little bit different. This is actually my my first version of it. So his first version was a little bit different. The way he set his up was a little bit more complicated with like shulker loaders and all that kind of stuff. And though that usually seems like something right up my alley, I wanted to do things a little bit different, because even though we're going to get a bunch of nether stars out of this, this is probably going to be like a once in a lifetime AFK session. I'm probably going to get enough beacons to last me my entire series in one AFK session, considering how many wither skeletons and stuff I've got and all that. So I thought, you know what, there's no point in putting shulker loaders and stuff all on it. Obviously, I'm going to put a nice design around it and whatnot. But essentially, I wanted to keep things a little bit more simple. Now, issue with this design here is that you're a little bit too close and you will definitely die. I've tried to unfortunately do this. So I done quite a bit of testing and found a safe radius. And ultimately, I ended up coming to this design here. Now, this allows me to stand quite a bit underneath. So there was two reasons I made this change. The number one was location, so I didn't have to stand like near the wither blast radius and get hurt by the withers blowing up when they're in the center over there. And the second thing also was to clear out bedrock. You see, clearing out the bedrock around this square it's quite a pain, if I'm very honest with you. And yeah, so I've done most of the work for clearing it out, but ultimately the designs like that required me to break way more bedrock, like almost 3 times the amount. So I decided I would put pretty much all of the redstone underneath, and then the only thing that would really interfere would kind of be this little area over here. After doing some calculations and checking some dimensions, it came to the conclusion that I can actually build this with not a huge amount of bedrock removal. So I've done the bedrock removal. This is all working perfectly. I'll quickly come down here and show you how it works. In fact, it's really awesome. When the withers die, the nether stars actually fall down here. So the way I'm going to have the room set out is that it's kind of going to be raining. It's kind of going to be raining stars. It's going to look really cool once I'm done with the room. I'll show you what we do is we're going to fast push in soul sand into that little section. So essentially all you do is you come and stand here with the soul sand. This dispenser will give me extra soul sand, so I can basically just go ahead and fill these out with soul sand. And then I basically stand here and I push soul sand into the thing. And you can see there are new withers being created as we go along. When you see enough of them being crammed in there, you're going to eventually see them dying a lot faster. So I'll give this a second to catch some momentum. If I stand around here, it should be all good. There is a perfect location. I think it's on the side of this. I actually think I need to put a block here to make it a little bit more efficient. Yep, there we go. Oh. So there is a way to place them, but you can see right now the withers are dying off really quickly. And the more you kind of put into them, the quicker you're going to see them die, the more you'll see them die. So I'm just going to keep going. So you can see right now there's a massive amount of withers, and you can see all the nether stars being ready to drop into our little double chest here. And this is basically all you do. You would just stand here placing soul sands. I can go AFK and do what I want for as long as I want. And yeah, I'll just get a bunch of nether stars doing this. You can see there's a new row of withers coming through, and they are all dying pretty instantly at this point. And don't forget, even with the speed, there's a bunch of them dying at the same rate. So you're getting a whole bunch of nether stars from this. And obviously, keep in mind, you're going to need a bunch of soul sand for this to work. You're also going to need a bunch of wither skeleton skulls. But ultimately, once that's done, the building of this is not very hard, and you have yourselves a fully certified Witherkiller. Anyway, enough explaining in Creative World. If you've got any questions about this, leave a comment in the section down below. I'll have a little read, and I can be happy to help with any issues you might have. But I've run this for quite some time. Everything seems good. I'm going to try and work out that whole block placement situation. But once that's done, we're smooth sailing from here. All right, so let's get back into survival and let's get this thing built up. And just like that, the job is done. Everything is looking absolutely beautiful. And to be, well, let's be fair here. We've got a lot of stuff to do still. We still got to clean up the area. We still got to make a nice little encapsulation for this. But obviously, we got to test things out before we get too fancy and we start dedicating work to this. We're going to have to do a little bit of tweaking, make sure everything works perfectly fine. I think at the moment, it should all be good. I'll be honest, I've taken a backup of the world already anyway. So if this all goes wrong, I'm definitely going to reload it again. I'm going to have to go and put in some wither skeleton skulls, and we're going to have to give this a little go because we've put all this hard work and effort into it. And now it's time to see if it will actually work. I mean, it should work. I've pretty much placed everything where it should be, I think. And yeah, there's only really one way to make sure that you've done things right, which is to actually try and get one stuck in there. Unfortunately, it's going to take a little while for it to kind of die if I just put the one in there, and I'm definitely not really feeling to put a few. But you know what? Let's give it a go. Let's see how many we can get away with. So what we'll do is we will split the skulls into. You know what? 1 second. Let me empty my inventory. All right. So we emptied up the inventory. Now we're going to split the wither skeleton heads into 3 even piles. So according to this, we can get 12 withers summoned, I hope. But we don't. I don't think we have enough soul sand for it. So we're just gonna try and do 1 or 2. And this is really where things are gonna be really interesting, because obviously, like I said, I do have a world backup, but ideally I don't want to load it. I don't want to have to load backups for no reason. I'm hoping I've done all this right. There's only one way to find out. I realized also from earlier. The best way to place the soul sand is to probably stand on the side and hit it like this, but unfortunately I need the dropper to actually work. But I think that shouldn't be a problem. What I'm gonna probably have to end up doing is maybe changing this to like I don't know, maybe on this side, I don't know. But then again, I've also have the nether stars falling down from here, so yeah. Anyway, let's give this a go. Now everything seems to be okay, everything's in place. Let's do this one at a time and see how it goes. 1, 2. Okay. Should we have a quick check? Quick free cam check. Okay. Seems to be working fine. And I mean, yeah, it seems good. Everything seems good. Maybe I should pop a few more in there. Let's go ahead and see if we can try and actually get this sorted. Let's go for another one. I think that should be enough. Yeah, 3's good for now. And to be honest, if 3 of them are working, that means all of them should be working. So let's have a quick look. Oh yeah, we're looking good. We're looking real good. Very loud there. Okay, I think that's mission successful. Now, I think we're going to have to start doing a little bit of dress up on this. We'll hopefully see the nether stars drop down soon enough. But yeah, we're going to have to do maybe some cleaning up on this area. It's really loud here right now. Now, keep in mind, this shouldn't be taking this long. Obviously, if you're squeezing like 100 of them in there at the same time, then you're going to have a lot more luck. But obviously, in this case, we've only got 3 of them, so they're probably going to have to die off a little bit slowly. But we're not bothered by that. We're just going to carry on figuring out what we want to do in the meantime. They're not going to cause me any pain, although they do cause some nice lighting updates over here, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think one more thing I need to actually get set up is I'm going to have to make sure that all these droppers are always full. And I'm going to have a switch where once the dropper or the hopper behind it, if the system runs out with the skeleton skulls, I have to have a system where it shuts the system off, so I'm not still creating loads of withers at the same time. And then obviously if the system runs low on wither skeleton skulls, then things get a little bit tricky. So we're gonna have to figure it out. And also I'm gonna need way more wither skeleton skulls at this rate, because just filling up the temporary droppers and stuff is going to take probably about 2 or 3 shulker boxes. So yeah, I might do a little AFK session overnight to try and get some more. I did one last night, but it didn't really work out all that well. I didn't get a huge amount of them, then maybe that'll be something for me to take care of today. I've come over to our Wither Skeleton farm. I need to make a quick stop off to do some collections. So we needed obviously some Wither Skeleton skulls to get the farm all nice and running again. And actually, as I did that, I wanted to do a little bit of AFKing because I didn't have enough Wither Skeleton skulls, so I did. And I collected some of the drops, and I have started to realize I might be a little bit in and over my head with the whole drop situation. So as you've probably figured out, back in the base, we've got a good amount of coal, we've got a good amount of bone or bone blocks, and yeah, so I don't know if you guys remember from an earlier episode when I first made this place, I mentioned that I'm going to make this part of stuff, you know, into something. It was kind of just plain, it just had a wall here. And so I did, so I've added some extra storage, and I actually didn't think I would need to do this, but yeah, we've got quite a lot of bone blocks. We've got quite a bit of coal. Yeah, we're kind of overstocked on the resources. Luckily, bone blocks are white and they make a good alternative for like quartz or like white concrete. So that's good. We can always use them for building and stuff. But obviously, now I have too many bone blocks. I don't really have much to do with them right now. So I decided I'm just going to make some extra storage for them. I was going to leave them in the shulker boxes, but I didn't want to keep up like the crafting system's shulker boxes. I don't want to have them occupied somewhere else. So I just went ahead and put them in double chests, and then obviously once these start to fill up, I'll start filling up the shulker boxes to put into the double chest. But as of right now, yeah, I just thought I'd bring you in on that just to show you that we are absolutely overstocked with bones and bone meal. And also we have a new friend here. This buddy who we're not going to stare into the eyes because he gets very upset. Oh, no, don't be angry at me. I'm sorry. Oh my God, why? I can't even look at you from behind. Well, that sucks. Anyway, he's in a boat right now, so screw him. But yeah, he's supposed to be our friend. I was hoping we could have a nice friend hanging around here. He has a mushroom, so I don't think he's going to despawn anytime soon. I saw him kind of hanging around over there, and I thought, you know what? Let's be a good friend. Let's try and save him. And here we are getting bullied by him by the looks of it. He's angry at me for no reason. It's just kind of upsetting. Right, anyway, so we're heading back over to the Wither Skeleton, or sorry, the Wither Farm, should I say? We're already at the Wither Skeleton Farm. Heading back to the Wither Farm, we're going to do some decoration. We're going to start filling up the droppers and the dispensers with the skeleton skulls so we can kind of get an idea of where we're at with that. And I think I need to add a couple last minute features. I mentioned something about a switch, so when we run out of Wither Skeleton skulls or we don't have enough, the farm will switch off so I can truly AFK there without worrying too much. So that's one thing to do, and yeah, let's decorate the place. Let's make it look a little bit more fancy. I think it's gonna be a good time. So I hope you enjoyed that lovely time lapse. I hope you enjoyed watching the stars fall. You know, you can tell from the general landscape around here, we're basically done. First of all, please don't judge how anything look. I know it's a little bit ugly, and you know, it probably doesn't, you know, it doesn't look great, all right? I understand. And I'm gonna make a fix with that eventually. So let's just leave it as is for now. I couldn't really think of anything to design it with. So yeah, for now we're gonna go with this. Maybe we'll surround it by beacons, but otherwise I think we're looking good. Everything's nice and simple, and luckily I do love this wither cage because it doesn't break anything around it, obviously, because most of the explosions happening inside of the 3x3. So around we can put kind of whatever blocks we want, so everything's looking nice and good here. And as for the drop chute, so we're gonna go down. I haven't really put like a solution to not hurt myself when I come down here, but to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter at this point. So you can see I've gone for like an all black theme. The idea behind this was eventually I'm gonna have a situation where I put item frames on the wall, and you know what, hold on one sec, let me show you. Okay, so I can only seem to get this to work on one of these right now for some really weird reason. But essentially my idea was to scatter a bunch of the nether stars around using item frames, just like you see over here. But with a data pack from Vanilla Tweaks, you can actually make them invisible. Now, like you can see here, it is invisible and it seems to be working fine. But whenever I try it on one of these ones, I can't seem to get it to work. So I'm not sure what the problem is here. But I will eventually fix that. And yeah, the idea is to put a bunch of them around here, and then it kind of looks like the stars are kind of a part of the sky. It's going to have a really cool effect. Things are looking okay for now, but once I have the ability to add that, that's going to look way better. So the rest of the setup is basically how you saw it in the creative world. I've got the soul sand going into here. I haven't added as many chests as I had in the creative world. The reason for that was because I didn't really need a ton of soul sand. Like a double chest is usually good enough for one AFK session. And at the moment, I don't really have enough with the skeleton skulls to go too crazy with it anyway. So you've seen, you kind of have an idea from that little scene how many nether stars we got. But let's have a quick look. Now you can see I've got 16 in my inventory. And if we have a look in here, we've got basically another 2 stacks. Now, actually, this is not bad, because if you consider this was like maybe a couple minutes of AFKing, not bad, right? And really the bottleneck here, as you can see from this extended piston, I ran out of with the skeleton skulls, which is why this piston's extended. So this was my solution to making sure I don't overfeed the system when it runs out of skulls. I've actually got roughly 2 droppers, or like 1 dropper and 1 dispenser's worth of skulls on basically all 3 rows. So if I come up here and show you guys really quickly. So for example, if I can see where the droppers and stuff are, here we go. So these 2 along the whole line are completely filled with the skeleton skulls. However, this row is now completely empty, which is why the system has locked itself up. Now I could probably use this input instead for detecting whether or not I'm running low on with the skeleton skulls. I could probably even do it the same with this one. But I kind of decided I'm going to go for the back row. It just adds another layer of security just to make sure we're not losing too many with the skeleton skulls throughout the whole thing. Now this will unlock as soon as I fill up the system and it has a sufficient amount of with the skeleton skulls. This will be released and then I can carry on using it again, and so on and so on and so on. Now I've got a extra shulker box worth of soul sand. And I need to do a little bit more AFKing at the gold farm to get some more of this, because I'm going to need that and actually quite a few more materials. But anyway, this is we're considering this mission successful, besides the fact that I have to try and see if I can figure out why I can't make these invisible. But other than the non-invisible item frames, we're pretty much done. We are mission successful, and we're moving on from this. And with that, I think we will be ending the episode. I hope you enjoyed everything that I've done today. Obviously, this thing takes many hours. So even though it seems like, like 10 minutes of video, this actually ended up taking me like 3 days making sure everything kind of worked properly. And, you do a lot of testing, you do a little bit of design work, even something stupid like the little enclosure that it's kind of sitting in right now with the quartz and then all the pillars and stuff. All this thing takes a lot of time, but at the end of the day, it was totally worth it. Everything looks really good. Everything's running perfectly. And I think that's kind of the main objective with all of this. So ultimately, it's really worth it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did and you made it to the end of the video, please make sure you leave a like, maybe consider subscribing, share it with a friend, all of that good stuff. And I hope to see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.